It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, I'm super excited because I've had the opportunity to meet the one and only Nicole J. Perkins, who will be talking about getting maximum results through your branding. What's going on, Nicole? Hello. Welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Take a moment, if you would, and getting maximum results through strategic branding. I ask this question often people come on because branding just means so many things these days. So first, will you give us your definition of branding? What is branding?
Right. So, not to get too technical, branding is basically the story that your company is telling. So, for instance, when you are thinking of perfume, you might want to mention, this perfume allows for me to be confident in the workplace. So, that's the story that's being attached to the product or service.
Mm, the story that's being attached. So it's a little more than a logo. Is that what you're telling me? It's not just colors?
No, it's not just colors, although they do play a big part because there's actually a psychology behind that. However, branding has changed in 2023. It's involving more technology and a little bit more of a personal touch.
Doesn't sound like anything new, by the way. So why do people struggle with branding? I mean, I know this might be an unfair question. So there's two type of entrepreneurs. Let's talk about the entrepreneur that's seasoned. They've been there for a while. And like I said, things have changed over the years. So why do entrepreneurs who've had the same business for 5 years or more, let's talk to that audience first, what's the big challenge they have with branding?
Great question. So there was this thing like you build it and they will come, right? And I'm telling a little bit of my age, but it was a movie back in the day, Field of Dreams, and you build it and they will come. But that has changed in 2023. You can't necessarily just put up a website, pop up a logo and then give a slogan. And guess what? Everyone will come rushing to you because they just love how you that is different now. In 2023, the seasoned entrepreneur or the seasoned business owner has to relate more on a personal level. The customer, the client wants an experience out of your brand, out of your company, not just the logo.
An experience. Talk about what experience means, because there's some new entrepreneurs, or there's some folks that might be a dualpreneur, by the way. So they work a full-time job and they're a full-time entrepreneur. So you said it's about the experience. Tell us a little more about that, please.
Yes. So, for instance, you have to think about how is this person going to walk away? Did they walk away better than when they met me? And guess what? Word of mouth is having a comeback. I know with technology, we can kind of hide behind, all the different images that we see and postings, but word of mouth is definitely making a comeback because if that client or that customer is not feeling incredibly like, oh, this was just a wow experience for me. They're going to go tell their friends, their family, and it's going to go ahead with a domino effect. And before you know it, anything that you have created in their mind becomes a truth. That's why it's important to create a wow experience when you're with your client.
And for the new entrepreneur that's out there, what's their biggest challenge? They're like, well, I know my story, but how do I package it for online? And then talk about what they can do for those folks that are still doing it offline. Now, and when I say offline, they may have a storefront. So we'll talk about folks that pretty much have to be online. Let's just talk about online first. Talk about for the new person that's just getting into this, the power of the story.
Well, I would say transparency is the key. A lot of times, entrepreneurs feel like they have to get on social media and have it all together. They feel like they don't have to be honest with the fact that, guess what, I'm new at this. And that can be an advantage to you because if you're new and you're great at what you do, then your client or your customer will feel like, you know what, if I stick with them for a while, I can honestly say I was with them from the beginning and I'm able to see how they progress. So I would say be incredibly transparent. So for instance, if you're a person who creates t-shirts, come on and say, you know what? I just started this t-shirt business, but look at what I can do. Look at how you will feel in this t-shirt. Go ahead, purchase from me and see the experience that you are going to get as a result of working with me and how it separates me from everyone else. Something like that alone, because everyone's always looking for something new, so to speak, can be that one thing that pushes you over to the next level in your business.
That one thing that could push them over. They're listening to you and they're like, okay, so she came out the gate firing what branding is and so forth. So what's you said the story. Do you help individuals kind of craft their story? And if so, take a moment and share a little about maybe one, two, or maybe three things that someone can include in the packaging of their story. And is it their story or the company story? I don't know if there's a difference. So I'm all over the place. Let me ask three questions. Number one,
So,
um, company story
um,
versus their story. What's the difference? That's number one. Company story versus their story. And then secondly, what's one or two things that someone could do to really package it? There's got to be some secret formula, I'm sure.
Absolutely, there is a strategy to it. So, first of all, it's going to be your company story because, after all, our personal story is completely loaded, right? We can talk about our childhood, our teenage years, our adult years, relationships, yada, yada, yada. So, we definitely don't want to, unless you're branding how you've come out of a traumatic experience or you've gotten a hero type of story and you're an author or a speaker. But apart from that, if you just have a service like coaching or consulting or you have a product, it has to be about the company story, how you all came about, what is the mission and the vision of what you're trying to express with your product or service. One of the two or three things that you can begin doing is thinking about what is the cause of your product or service. Is it going to make somebody's life better? Is it going to make them more beautiful? Is it going to make them feel more confident? Is it going to allow them to be more visible to other people around them? What is the reason for it? And then number two, you want to look at how are you expressing that on your websites and on your individual social media handles. I tell my clients you can have personal things on your social media handle. After all, we are human. I want you to be transparent, but it should not flood your overall media. So, in other words, if I come onto your social media handle, I shouldn't be wondering, are you selling a product or are you twerking? I mean, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? It has to have a consistency. And sometimes people get that very confused because one day they're talking about their relationships and how their job is terrible and how they just met a best friend. And then the next day they're like, oh, buy my new tea. It's going to make you feel great. And actually, people will run. They will run for the hills because you cannot seem to be trusted. So it's very important that you have a consistency, sprinkle it a little bit of your personal life, but for sure, make sure that company story is in the forefront.
Well, you can't leave us hanging. I mean, folks are like, whoa, Shay, you talking about your story and your company story. We're all on edge and we want to know, well, Shay, I know y'all are asking me, what is the Nicole J. Perkins story? Because yes, your bio's below, and yes, they can read all about you. But some folks are listening right now and they're waiting to hear from you. What is the Nicole J. Perkins story? So I'm gonna turn it over to you to let us
Yes,
know because
awesome.
we want to know.
Absolutely. So I call myself a financial services baby. Ever since the age of, I would say, probably like 23, I've been in the financial services industry. In other words, I've either helped or made money for other people. So for the many, many years that I've done that, I was able to learn some key things. I tell everybody, if you're working on a job right now and starting your own business, do not ignore the things you can learn on that job. You can learn how to do a meeting. You can learn how to, hold reports. You can learn how to market, learn how to brand. So I learned an awful lot during that time working for different banks, working for different private wealth companies, and also entrepreneurs as well. So I was able to get all of that. Not to mention, as time went on, I was able to give financial advice to both my friends and family. But over the years, they started asking me, hey, I want to start a business. I know you're really good with the financial part and the aspect of building. How would you feel about doing this for my business? And I started kind of like for free, basically. I said, this is what I would do if I was starting a business and with my financial knowledge. As that began to grow, people start getting results. They start seeing their businesses bring in more revenue. Again, I wasn't even a business per se at the time. I was just kind of giving out free advice, but it was working. The first time I was like, okay, that's great. The second time I was like, I might be onto something. Third time, a trend for me. I said, you know what? I think I know what I'm doing. So I decided to branch out on my own and decided to, you know what? I think I can really help a business owner become more visible, number one, and create and generate revenue.
Create and generate revenue. Now, that was a good point. Is we're standing. Thanks first for sharing your story, by the way. And I know you all mentioned because she's talking about the hero story. You talk about some people maybe have a hero story and they don't know what a hero story is. So can we slow down for a moment and maybe you can define what a hero story is, and then maybe this might work really well, which is you can share a time where there was some setback for you. There was some challenge from you. I think you know where I'm going, where things didn't go out the way they were supposed to for you, by the way. And what lesson can we learn from your, setback that's now have turned into a comeback?
Absolutely. So, just to define the hero story, if you're branding yourself, for instance, you're a speaker, you're an author, and you want to kind of motivate others into becoming their best selves, and a part of that is that you have to tell your story, or part of that is that you are the example for that, then you are your own brand and you can become the hero in other people's lives, just like you became the hero in yourself. So that's what I mean by a hero brand. And in that case, your social media will, for the most part, be all about you. And that is typically okay. Now, with that being said, in my own life, I had quite a few setbacks in becoming an entrepreneur. I think the biggest one was when I was thinking about adding, I would say, a partner to my business and a business partner. And we have been basically kind of working out some different programs for I would say a few months. And I just was like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be a wonderful partner to have. And of course, I didn't want to rush the decision. I wanted to work some projects out with them first just to see if they were going to be a great fit for me. And it was very disappointing. We had one of our biggest clients that was about to onboard. I was super excited, and they couldn't deliver on what they promised. So it was a huge letdown. I was very, very upset. This is not how I do business. So I felt very embarrassed. I immediately spoke to the client and I told them, I am so sorry. This partner who I'm hoping to really become a partner did not deliver on what they said they were going to deliver on. But what can I do? My apologies. What can I do to make the situation better? Again, going back to that customer experience, completely transparent with them and told them, what can I do to make this happen for you? And, of course, there's some things negotiating wise with the numbers that we can obviously adjust to make your experience better. And I'm so sorry, but that was a huge setback for me. But one thing I learned from that was that I did it the right way. You don't always have to learn that you were an awful mistake at something or you did it horribly. Sometimes your biggest lessons are the fact that you did it right. and that you are on the right track. So the biggest lesson I learned was that, you know what? Continue to go back to the drawing board. Don't stray away from your original, I would say, ideas of values of what you value. And one thing I valued was the fact that I do my due diligence and I take my time. I don't rush at anything. I like to wait and see what the end is going to be. And because I use that wisdom, I believe I dodged a bullet into future, blunders, so to speak, with this individual. And so that was my biggest lesson that, don't ever stop going back to the drawing board and sticking to your values.
I love it. Yeah, so straightforward, to the point. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing now? Like, what brings you the biggest joy? Because you mentioned earlier, get maximum results. So it's a two-part question. Number one, maximum results, and what do you consider to be maximum results? If someone had to put a metrics to that, I think that's a fair question. And then behind that, after they get that metrics and they get those maximum results, what is it you sit back and what do you enjoy most about what you're doing now? Because you seem to be having a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So I think when I have a client who comes to me and they're at the end of their rope, they're basically at the point of saying, you know what? I no longer want to be an entrepreneur. You are literally my last stop. If this doesn't work, I'm going to go back to my 9 to 5 investor, becoming a W-2 employee. I'm not doing this anymore. What can you do for me? And for me to be able to take their world, flip it totally upside down, give them hope again, and be able to immediately generate revenue for them, that is my biggest joy. I mean, I can't get any more out of this than knowing that I took someone's hopes and dreams that were quite naturally in the dumps, that didn't see it going anywhere, is about to give up, and now they can honestly see a future in what they're doing.
A future. So really, by giving them that hope, you now allow them to do the things they've always wanted to do. And now the question is, what mentor have you had along this journey? Like, okay, you're talking about all the cool stuff you're doing, and I believe that success is a team sport. You can only get so far by yourself. So, of all the mentors you had on this journey, so many mentors, what's one mentor you would select, and what's a lesson you learned from that mentor you're going to pass to us, the audience?
Absolutely. I would say the biggest mentor that I've absolutely had was my children. I know
Mm.
that sounds strange, but it's my children. Children are resilient, number one. And then number two, they have this ability to see not only the good side, but the bad side of you and still love you as a result. And the third thing that I learned from my children as well is that you have to be able to see the bright side of things. You can't just look at it like, oh, this is bad, this is how it's always going to be, but you always have to see the bright side of things. So, to be honest with you, when I take those things and I put them in my life and then I apply them to my business, for some reason, things just work out.
Hmm. What books are important. And again, I love asking this question. And thanks so much for sharing, by the way. Those folks that want to connect with you, how can they best connect with you? Do that first. And then we're going to talk about better brand. Because one of the things I admire for those that are already Googling her, you're already reading below. I love when you go to a page that says better brand. So she don't say you suck, you're not doing a great job. I didn't see anywhere I felt like I was being beat up. So I'm going to come back and ask you about that philosophy, better brand. But first, what's one of the books that you read? And again, there's so many, but I'm always curious that had an impact in your life, and why.
Yes, it was funny because I think you had mentioned it. I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, but Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, absolutely all time bestseller. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And just when I think, oh, I think I got it down, I understand the concept and philosophy that he was trying to express to the different people, I said, you know what? Let me go back and read it again. And I love the story about the young black girl who she was just demanding that at the time when there was no hope really for us as minorities, as blacks, as African Americans to be able to really do much of anything, was able to tell a white man, and just please understand the times that, hey, he needed to do right by her mother. And that was unheard of at the time for a young black girl to speak up the way she did. But make sure you all go read that book and you'll understand more of what I'm saying. But the point was the determination. The point was the not giving up. The point was the tenacity and almost commanding that destiny goes in her.
Hmm. You know, we have a mantra here called "Today is my January 1st." By the way, today is my January 1st, and for those folks that are here daily with us at 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can go and say those words. Right? We wait all day to say those words. Today is my January 1st, and for those folks that are joining us for the very first time, welcome to the family. We're glad to have you here. Today is my January 1st represents our personal mantra, so it does represent a fresh start. It does represent a do-over. It does mean that our past, no matter what your past is, our past no longer equals our future. That today is our January 1st. We're not going to wait till December 31st on the back of a napkin at 11:59 p.m. after a couple drinks to get going. We get going now. So my question to Nicole J on the other side, Perkins, is when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And what was one of your January 1st moments?
Oh wow. I love that. First of all, that's awesome. So I would say when I think of today as my January 1st is when I decided to absolutely launch, and step out on my own and believe that I could actually make changes in the way people did business, in the way they did their processes. And that was when I think I just told you before about working with friends and family and seeing their lives change, and this was just for free. And then saying, okay, let me step out, really make this official and make things happen for their businesses. I would say that was definitely my January 1st. It means to me that I can change people's lives for the better. I call myself a dream maker. Why? Because I want people to dream big and I know they can do it.
Mm, fantastic. What type of clients is your firm taking on these days? So tell us about the type of client, maybe the problems they have, and then how can folks best connect with you? Better brand. I got better brand stuck in my head. That's not our business, ladies and gentlemen, but I just love it. I think it was so inspiring.
Awesome. So we deal with entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants. So that's a wide range, but we definitely want those who are on track to a revenue goal. So, in other words, you're not doing this as a hobby. You're not doing this to fill up some space in your life because you're bored. You're not doing this because you want to just be independent in life, but you really don't want to give back to other people. I would say that's a slippery slope to be going down. So those are the type of clients that we're looking for. That you want to build a better business, or if you're just starting out in business, you want to learn how to build a great business or brand, and ultimately you want your service or product to make someone else's life better. Guarantee you, if that's your goal, if that's your intention, the money will come in.
Don't chase the money, ladies and gentlemen. Add value. Shay Brown remix, and the money will chase you. How can they best connect with you? They're on the edge of this seat. Where do they go?
Okay, so I tell everyone, everybody mentions websites. And this is going to be new for you all. I'm not a website fan whatsoever. Why? Because now in 2023, people are more than ever going to those social media handles. So you can reach me, Nicole J. Perkins, on Facebook, Nicole J. Perkins on Instagram, TikTok. Just plug in my name. I'm going to come right up, and I'll be happy to, have a free consultation with you or a strategy session, which are also complementary, to see what you're doing wrong and possibly what you're doing right.
First, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. You're amazing, by the way. I love your brand. I love where your heart is. And I love you taking time out to be here. So thank you so much. Shout out to Sonia, by the way. Sonia Keeve. One of my 12 rules for life is collaboration crushes competition. Collaboration crushes competition. Before we close out, I want you to do two things. Talk about the power of collaboration. That may be something that you're looking to do as well. And number two, any final thoughts or comments you have for those folks that are out there that, well, when we finish and these fiber optic lines kind of go down, they've got to go do some things. Again, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you first for having me. So, definitely when it comes to collaboration, I have 32 virtual assistants that I'm, over right now at the moment. And so we're the ones that help you to have a better brand. However, if you are of a special skill set and you want a chance to get out there, you want the ability to showcase what you do, definitely you can reach out to me on my social media handles. Also, when it comes to just building a better brand, remember what I was telling you about being transparent if you're new to the game. If you're not new to the game, then you want to create that experience so a person can walk away with a wow coming out of their mouth and giving that to other people so that when a word comes back to you is that you provide a quality experience and that they want to come back to. But other than that, thank you.
Again, thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Thank you for watching. Thank all the viewers out there. Thank you for tuning in. You can find us on all of the on-demand streaming platforms and or go over to YouTube. Just type in at I am Che Brown. You can pull up our YouTube channel there or connect with us. Again, you're amazing. You're incredible. I know if you're watching right now and you got oxygen going through your lungs and you woke up, that today is your January 1st. And because of that reason, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best, I believe in my heart, is yet to come. With that being said, my name, by the way, is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember this, though. Time is long. Life, on the other hand, well, it's very, very short. So you got to live in that moment and you got to make it count. God bless you. Wish you success. Thanks a lot. We're out. Thank you so much. See you later. Bye-bye, everybody.